Hey, if you're not here to order something expensive, don't waste my time. Those were the words that nearly cost a cafe owner everything. Little did he know the man he just insulted was none other than Elon Musk. What happened next will make you rethink how you treat strangers. The cafe buzzed with life, a symphony of clattering plates and animated chatter filling the air. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the sizzle of bacon on the grill, creating an inviting atmosphere that drew in locals and travelers alike. It was into this bustling scene that Elon Musk stepped, his casual hoodie and well-worn sneakers a far cry from the polished image the world was used to seeing. As Elon approached the counter, his eyes scanned the hand-written menu board above. The owner, a man with worry lines etched deep into his forehead, barely glanced up from the register. "What'll it be?" he barked, his tone sharp enough to cut through the din of the cafe. "Could I see a menu, please?" Elon asked, his voice measured and polite. The owner's head snapped up, his eyes narrowing. "If you're not here to order something expensive, don't waste my time," he snapped. "We don't do freebies." The cafe fell silent, the sudden tension palpable. A few patrons at nearby tables exchanged uneasy glances, their forks paused midway to their mouths. Elon, however, remained unfazed. His expression didn't falter as he nodded, a hint of understanding in his eyes. "No problem," Elon replied, his voice calm. "I'll just have a coffee, then." The owner grunted, slamming a mug onto the counter and filling it with steaming coffee. Elon paid without comment, then made his way to a small table in the corner. As he settled into his seat, the cafe's chatter slowly resumed, though now tinged with hushed whispers and furtive glances in his direction. From his vantage point, Elon observed the ebb and flow of the cafe. He watched as the harried waitress juggled orders, noting the way her smile never quite reached her eyes. He saw the owner's tense shoulders as he barked orders at the kitchen staff, the worry lines on his face deepening with each passing minute. A young couple at a nearby table leaned in close, their voices low but still audible. "Can you believe how rude that guy was?" the woman whispered, nodding towards the owner. Her companion shrugged. "Maybe he's just having a bad day. Still, no excuse to treat customers like that." As the minutes ticked by, Elon's presence became a point of curiosity for the other patrons. His calm demeanor in the face of such hostility was intriguing, and more than a few wondered about the story behind the unassuming man in the corner. Just as the initial drama began to fade, Elon's attention was drawn to a new scene unfolding at a nearby table. A young mother, her face etched with worry, was fumbling with a handful of coins while trying to soothe a fussy toddler. Little did anyone know this moment would set in motion a chain of events that would change the cafe forever. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can spark the biggest changes. As Elon watched the young mother struggle, a memory stirred within him. What would compel this billionaire to connect so deeply with a stranger's plight? The answer would reveal a side of Elon Musk few had ever seen. The soft clink of coins drew Elon's attention to a nearby table. A young mother, her face etched with worry, counted and recounted a small pile of change. Her toddler, restless and hungry, squirmed in the high chair beside her. The mother's eyes darted between her child and the menu, a silent calculation playing out in her furrowed brow. Elon watched as the mother's shoulders slumped, the realization dawning that she might not have enough for their meal. Her fingers trembled as she pushed the coins into neat stacks, each one a silent testament to her struggle. The child's whimpers grew louder, drawing annoyed glances from nearby patrons. Without a word, Elon caught the eye of the waitress. With a subtle gesture, he motioned her over. The waitress approached, curiosity evident in her tired eyes. Elon leaned in, his voice low as he pressed a crisp bill into her hand. "Cover her meal," he murmured, nodding toward the young mother. "And add a dessert for the little one." The waitress blinked, surprise flickering across her face. She glanced at the bill, then back at Elon, a spark of warmth igniting in her eyes. With a small nod, she tucked the money into her apron and made her way to the kitchen. Minutes ticked by, the cafe's usual bustle providing a backdrop to the unfolding drama. The young mother remained oblivious, still counting her coins as her child's fussing intensified. Elon sipped his coffee, his eyes never straying far from the scene. When the waitress returned, a steaming plate in hand, the mother's face fell. "I'm sorry," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't think I have." "It's been taken care of," the waitress interrupted gently, setting the plate down. "Your meal and a special dessert for your little one. It's all covered." The mother's eyes widened, disbelief and relief washing over her in equal measure. "But how?" she stammered, her gaze sweeping the cafe. The waitress smiled, a conspiratorial twinkle in her eye. "Let's just say you have a guardian angel today." As the mother's eyes filled with tears of gratitude, Elon felt a warmth spread through his chest. He remembered a time, not so long ago, when he too had struggled to make ends meet. The memory of that vulnerability, of the kindness of strangers, had never left him. Just as the young mother began to feed her now content child, the cafe door swung open. A man in a crisp suit entered, his presence immediately drawing attention. As he scanned the room, his eyes locked onto Elon, and a flash of recognition crossed his face. The quiet drama of kindness was about to give way to a much more public spectacle. In that moment, as eyes darted between the newcomer and Elon, the line between anonymity and fame blurred. Would the reveal of Elon's identity erase his simple act of kindness, or amplify it beyond measure? The suited man strode across the cafe, his polished shoes clicking against the worn linoleum. Heads turned as he passed, curiosity etched on every face. He stopped at Elon's table, a mix of excitement and disbelief playing across his features. "Mr. Musk," he said, his voice carrying through the suddenly hushed room. "I can't believe it's really you. What an honor to meet you here, of all places." The cafe fell silent, save for the soft clatter of a fork hitting a plate. All eyes turned to the corner table where Elon sat, his expression calm but watchful. He nodded to the newcomer, a small smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "It's nice to meet you," Elon replied, his voice measured. "I hope you don't mind, but I was trying to keep a low profile today." The damage, however, was already done. A ripple of whispers spread through the cafe like wildfire. "Elon Musk? Here? The Tesla guy? Isn't he worth billions?" At the counter, the owner's face drained of color. His earlier sharp words echoed in his mind, each syllable now a stab of regret. He gripped the edge of the counter, knuckles white as the magnitude of his rudeness sank in. Elon, for his part, remained composed. He gestured for the suited man to join him, engaging in quiet conversation as the cafe buzzed around them. His calm demeanor in the face of sudden attention was a stark contrast to the chaos his presence had unleashed. Patrons fumbled for their phones, snapping discreet, and not so discreet, photos. The young mother Elon had helped earlier looked on in amazement, pieces of the puzzle falling into place. The waitress who had delivered his act of kindness stood frozen, coffee pot in hand, as she realized the true identity of her generous customer. As the initial shock wore off, a new energy filled the cafe. The owner, still pale and shaken, emerged from behind the counter. He approached Elon's table with halting steps, his earlier bravado replaced by nervous hesitation. Elon looked up as the owner neared, his expression unreadable. The cafe held its collective breath, wondering how this unexpected encounter would unfold. Would Elon call out the owner's earlier behavior? Would he demand special treatment now that his identity was known? The air crackled with tension as the owner opened his mouth to speak. In that moment, the true test of character for both men was about to begin. "Have you ever wished for a do-over after a major mistake?" As the cafe owner faced Elon Musk, he was about to learn a powerful lesson about second chances, one that would change more than just his business. The owner's steps were unsteady as he approached Elon's table, his earlier confidence evaporated like morning mist. The cafe fell silent, every eye fixed on this unlikely confrontation. Elon's expression remained neutral, but there was a glimmer of something, perhaps curiosity, perhaps compassion, in his eyes. "Mr. Musk, the owner began, his voice barely above a whisper. "I had no idea. Please, I'm so sorry for how I treated you earlier." Elon raised a hand, silencing the man's stammered apology. "I've been where you are," he said, his voice carrying easily through the hushed room. Running a business is tough. I remember days when I wasn't sure if my companies would survive another week. The owner's eyes widened. Disbelief etched across his face. Elon continued, "There were times I lashed out, pushed people away, but I learned that kindness, even in the face of stress, can open doors you never knew existed." As Elon spoke, the tension in the room began to dissipate. The owner's shoulders relaxed slightly, and he found himself nodding along. Elon leaned forward, his voice taking on a tone of genuine interest. "Tell me, what are the biggest challenges you're facing with this cafe?" The question caught the owner off guard. He blinked, then slowly began to open up. He spoke of rising costs, of the struggle to compete with chain coffee shops, of sleepless nights worrying about making payroll. As he talked, Elon listened intently, occasionally asking thoughtful questions. The other patrons watched in amazement as this impromptu business consultation unfolded before them. The young mother Elon had helped earlier clutched her child close, her eyes shining with unshed tears as she witnessed this unexpected act of grace. After several minutes, Elon sat back, a small smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "You know," he said, "I think this place has real potential. What if we gave it a fresh start?" The owner's brow furrowed in confusion. "What do you mean?" Elon's smile widened. "How about I fund some upgrades? New equipment, a renovated space, maybe even expand your menu. We could turn this into a real community hub." The cafe erupted in gasps and excited murmurs. The owner staggered back, overwhelmed by the offer. "But why?" he managed to ask. "Because everyone deserves a second chance," Elon replied simply, "and sometimes a little kindness can spark something amazing." As the reality of Elon's offer sank in, a palpable sense of hope filled the air. This chance encounter was about to transform not just a cafe, but an entire community, and it all started with a moment of humility and an unexpected act of generosity. As the weeks passed, the cafe underwent a remarkable transformation. Fresh paint brightened the walls, new equipment hummed in the kitchen, and the aroma of specialty coffee filled the air. The owner, once gruff and defensive, now greeted customers with a genuine smile. Regulars marveled at the change, and newcomers flocked to experience the buzz. Elon's visit had sparked more than just a physical makeover. The story of his kindness spread through the town like wildfire, inspiring others to pay it forward. The young mother he had helped anonymously now volunteered at a local food bank. The waitress, touched by his generosity, started a small scholarship fund for struggling students. The cafe became a symbol of second chances and the power of compassion. Strangers struck up conversations, sharing their own stories of unexpected kindness. The owner, humbled by his experience, often recounted the tale to wide-eyed listeners, always ending with the same message: "You never know who might walk through your door. Treat everyone with kindness.